All right, guys. So we're rolling out a new segment for the Misinformed podcast. This segment's going to be called The Story. And the story is basically going to be a sit-down interview-style conversation with some true pioneers in the Atlanta area, restaurants, club owners, athletes, et cetera, giving you their story of how they got to where they got. As you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and it's one of those things that I truly love and love to inspire others, even if they choose not to be an entrepreneur, but just give them the value in the mindset of an entrepreneur and apply it to their daily life. So without further ado, make sure you like and subscribe, and I hope you like the first episode of this segment. All right, guys, welcome to the Misinformed podcast. Bryan here, bringing to you a new segment to the show. I'm going to go ahead and let him take the mic immediately. He doesn't need an introduction from me, but I'm super excited about this one. This is going to be one of our first interviews where we kind of dive into just getting to know people in the Atlanta area that are moving and shaking, doing amazing things. And I think that could be a huge inspiration for other people in Atlanta to kind of create and relate to other people that kind of step outside of the norm and kind of build what they envision in their mind. So without further ado, take the floor.
Oh, man. All right. This is the first one.
This is the first one. I know, right?
Fares Kargar.
You go by
How would you like me to go? Not really, no.
Okay. So pronounce that one more time for us.
Fares.
Fares. Gotcha.
Fares.
So how do you spell that?
Fares.
Fares. Okay,
I go by Fares too sometimes.
Fares,
Depends,
yeah. So Fares or Fares. If you see him, guys, Fares or Fares. He's not really chipping on that. So I would say, tell us who you are. Like, where are you from originally?
Tough one. So I'm from Iran. I'm from
Okay.
Iran. I moved down to U.S. When I was 18, about 17, 18 years ago.
Okay, what made you
17
come?
years ago. It's a long story, but the
Perfect.
short
It's a
story
podcast.
is, the short story is, in Iran, when you turn 18, you have to go to military.
Okay,
It's
automatic,
mandatory
everyone.
military for minimum 2
Okay.
years. And I'm a minority, so I'm a Baha'i. I'm not a Muslim. So when
Okay.
you're a minority, they really take advantage of you in the military. So it's like a better route to just skip and get out.
Gotcha.
Or figure out a way to go around and get exempt. So
Is that a choice that you can skip out?
no.
Okay.
Like you would have to you have to qualify. You have to have like some sort of issue to be able to get out of it.
Gotcha.
Or just leave the country like I did.
Okay.
But also there's different reasons behind it. You, as a minority, you can go to a higher education school.
Okay.
There's no college.
As long as you
can
have
do
a-
it. Yeah.
a path or
There's a
blueprint.
lot of issues that kind of makes you want to leave, and also for opportunity. Obviously, I mean, it is America after all, land of opportunity.
Correct. Now, mom and dad, did dad have to go to military?
Yeah. Back
Okay.
in the day, my dad was actually in the pilot in the war. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. He was a pilot.
Yeah, but part of the other reason was a very trouble kid.
Okay. So
I was partying too much. It was
okay.
basically like, it's time for you to leave and take care of your own thing.
got you. So by 17, you was already
Yeah.
having a good time.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that-
yeah.
Was that? Would you contribute that to like your circle of friends or
Yeah,
brothers, sisters? Did you have any?
I have an older brother that lives back home still.
Okay.
My younger sister's here. She's in dental school in Augusta.
Okay.
She moved down here, I think, around 10 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of friends back home. I grew up like being a top A student up
Okay.
until my last year of being in Iran. Then I just hang out with a lot of bad friends and I started failing everything.
Gotcha.
And there was really no reason to stay in Iran because there's no higher education. There's really not opportunities that you have here don't exist there. Over
Okay.
there is like everything's very
Now-
corrupted. It all depends on who you know.
Do you feel like that was always in you to want to leave at some point, or do you think had you not?
Honestly, no. Like I had no interest of leaving.
Okay,
I was
that's what I was
living a
gonna
very
say.
good time as a teenager.
That's what I was saying. It sounded
I was
like
having
everything
a
was all good.
fantastic time. I didn't want to leave. That was all on my dad, and my dad was like, "Hey, I need you to leave." And there were gonna be better opportunities for you out there. His brother at the time was leaving Iran, so I kind of carry on with him. We both went to Turkey, stayed there as a refugee until we got our visa and came to US.
Okay, so dad really set the tone.
Yeah,
on
that's
that.
at the time, and that was like the best thing my dad ever did for me. Like, I still look back at him, like if I was back home still, it's like God knows what I was doing. It's like definitely not doing as good as I'm doing here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so now is dad still around?
Yeah.
All right. So every now and then you call him, just be like, "Hey, Dad, look what I did today." Like,
Yeah. My dad was actually in town very recently. So the funny part is like me and my dad never really spent that much time together because when I was growing up, my dad was always working in different cities around Iran. And he had construction project in different cities in the south. So imagine from here having projects in Texas, in LA, in
so constantly
Florida. Yeah, he's constantly on the move and constantly moving around. So I didn't really grow up with my dad as much. I grew up mainly with my mom. And a lot of my aunts and stuff, a lot of family members, but not as much dad. Right? The funny part is like just about a month ago when my dad came down here.
Okay, cool.
For about 2 weeks. It was the first time that my dad came to U.S. staying with me by himself.
Okay.
So we spent a lot of time together. It was pretty awesome. It was like I got to know my dad again.
Gotcha.
So it was super cool.
In a different phase in life.
Yeah, in a different phase in life because we always been working. Even if when he would come here to visit, I was always working because I work in restaurants 24/7.
Yeah.
So this time he was actually with me all day for 2 weeks.
Like legit.
Legit with me in the car. We were going from restaurant to restaurant, doing like knocking things out and all that stuff. And it was pretty awesome. It was a pretty cool experience.
That's dope. Now, mom stayed home. And so what does mom do?
So my mom, growing up, my mom was a fashion designer. She always like made dresses and everything. She had her own clients that she would make like custom dresses for them. Mom was also always working, and that's kind of what got me into the food business.
I was gonna ask that
from early age, because my older brother didn't know how to cook for shit, and had to feed me, my younger sister, and it got me into the food scene. Like ever since I was small, a lot of my family members on my dad's side, a lot of my aunts. I have 5 aunts, and they're all like fantastic cooks.
Gotcha.
And it kind of got my feet into it, hanging out with them, cooking with them in the kitchen, getting to know the food. And my grandma, she still does. She has a farm in, I would say, southeast of Iran-ish. Okay. That's where I spend a lot of summer times.
Gotcha.
Growing up in the farms, harvesting, eating fantastic food, getting to know the food. And all of that just kind of created this desire to just love food. And
Gotcha.
But I never literally looked at it as a career until I came to U.S. Okay. It was always like a hobby for me rather than a career.
Is it a career thing over there in Iran? Like,
it's a career thing now, yeah. Okay. It's a career thing. There are families that for generation they cook, like they have restaurants and they hand it down to generation and generation. And the cool thing is a lot of times like the best food in Iran come from these restaurants that only focus on one dish and one dish only. They only cook one item. And these
families... When you say one dish, what do you mean? Like legit.
Like imagine you go to like a restaurant and they only serve this one kind of burger and that's all they serve.
Wow.
And those restaurants like pass down from generations to generations.
So they've really perfected the skill, the recipe, and understand it. Okay. Now, do you feel as if is that so? Because obviously your dad was always constantly at work, and your mom and grandmother kind of having a kind of leaving like an everlasting impression on you, and you kind of following their suit. Is that something that the women naturally do in Iran? Is it a thing to see somebody in Iran, a woman not know how to cook?
Oh yeah.
Okay, got you. So it's not
very common. Yeah,
got you.
Yeah, it depends. But in our family, like everybody's fan of cooking, and everybody's great chefs. I mean, everybody in the family. My aunt is a chef down here. She has a restaurant called Lebanosh, right close to you.
Oh yeah,
around the corner. Yeah. Like if cooking runs in our family.
Oh my gosh.
Family blood. Everybody cooks.
Gotcha. So do you guys do you leave Iran and say, does everybody like do a Zoom call and say, all right, guys, I'm gonna go focus on this. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do this, and then I'll see you guys at the top? Or how does it seem like? Or is it more like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Big bro, can you help me out? Is it hand for hand, eye for eye? Like, how is it that I'm constantly see the family ties tend to help and really propel all people within that family to constantly create and build these multiple businesses so quick? Honestly,
it's about like, you know how they say your friends kind of define who you are, right? Who you're around. Like as long as you're around successful people, ambitious people, you become successful and ambitious. It all depends on who you're around. I think that's the big part of it, right? Like growing up, I always wanted to be an architect because my dad was an architect. My dad was building homes. Ever since I was a little kid, I was sketching little buildings. Like me and my brother always had a competition on who can sketch this building faster, who can recreate my dad's blueprint of a building faster, more details. Like this was our hobby growing up. Like drawing was a big part of it. My brother's like huge sketcher. This guy would like sketch like cars like I've never seen before. Like I always thought he needed to come to US and just become a car designer, go into manufacturing business, because he's super talented on that. And I was good with like the structure and buildings and all that stuff. So when I came to US was actually to go to architecture school.
Okay.
And until I got my first job in a restaurant and I fell in love with it and I changed everything.
Okay, so you started that process going into architecture?
Yeah.
And then what was the first job and where?
Well, my first job was, this is like my first year of coming to U.S. My English is very minimal.
Gotcha.
It was very bad. I had a job at Kroger in Duluth.
Oh, okay.
Right? I was a bagger at Kroger and like a cashier at Kroger and all this stuff. And I remember one Sunday I was picking up my paycheck. It was kind of raining. I see this coming soon and now hiring sign in front of the restaurant. I'm like, that's cool. Let me go try it out.
Yeah.
I walk in there. They give me an application. The general manager and executive chef were in at the time. They were testing out food. I'm still very good friends with them. They actually have a restaurant, one exit down from my Alpharetta location.
Okay.
Together, which is pretty cool. So walk in there, fill out the application. They hire me. I had no clue what I was hired for. What was the job?
English was still shaking.
My English was still very shaking. Right? I show up. They're like, okay, show up this day. We're gonna practice the soft opening. This was a restaurant that's just going to open.
Yeah.
I show up and everybody's lined up, and some of those friends that was like were there from start. They're still my very good friends. They're so much of good friends that we call each other cuz now.
Cousin.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
I lined up and everybody's like, "What did you get hired for?" And I was like, "I have no idea. They just told me come in."
I just
like,
worked
maybe
there.
they said it. I didn't understood it. Who knows, right?
Gotcha.
And that was the start of it. I got a job as a busboy and fell in love with the restaurant business and just changed everything.
Gotcha. So through that, and I think that's a good thing to segue for the people out there, is that he did not start where he's at now. You started legitimately from
the bottom,
as bottom
as it gets.
And really, but the mentality was to understand that whole process. So you didn't go in there for the money per se.
No. Even at the beginning, like I had no idea this was what I was going to change my career into, right? I was
but it's
still
something
in
that
school.
pulled you.
Yeah, it was something that pulled me. So I just enjoyed running a restaurant, the energy of a restaurant, hanging around with clientele, making everybody feel like home. It's just a different feeling, right? It's like that Persian hospitality that I was growing up with from since I was a kid. Like ever since I was a kid, my biggest hobby was to throw parties at the house. I would convince my mom and dad to invite everybody over so I could cook a course, so that I could cook something for them, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was my go-to. And at the time I was like 12, 13, 14 maybe.
Golly,
right? That was
boy,
my
you getting
biggest
after
thing. No, it was like when my dad had construction projects throughout the city a lot of times. My summertime hobby was, so in Iran, the bakeries are only ran from like 5 in the morning to 8 in the morning.
Okay.
And if you want fresh bread, you have to go to the bakery to get fresh bread.
Gotcha.
Right? And you had to stay in line. There's no like calling to order. They only sell what they have, and after that is done.
There's no Grubhub.
Yeah, there's no Grubhub. So my biggest hobby during summertime was to go to bakery 5 in the morning, get in line, get fresh bread, go to like the bodega, like the bodegas you see here. It's like a tiny little bodegas in Iran everywhere.
Absolutely.
There's no like big shopping centers.
Gotcha.
Actually, right now there is, but at the time there wasn't. It was just all tiny bodegas everywhere. Go find the cheese, go get the eggs and tomatoes, and either I would go feed my my dad's like construction workers at their facilities, or bring it home and make breakfast before everybody woke up.
Did he ask you to do that? You just chose
no. That was the thing I would do, because I always I like to stay busy. I could never just not have anything to do.
Gotcha.
So it was my hobby. Like on summer times, I was feeding all the employees. Like 5 days out of the week, I was dropping off food for them at every construction site. And I would do it at home too. I was like, make food for everybody, make breakfast for everybody. So that was in my blood since I was a little kid. It was like making people feel like home, hospitality, all those things was always in my blood, but it was never actually looked at as a career back then.
Gotcha.
Until I actually got to US and I got to experience what an actual commercial restaurant, working in a commercial restaurant feels like. And from there, I kind of changed my plans. I remember actually the day that I switched my major from like, at the time I think it was, I was studying marketing to go to Georgia Tech for architecture. Then I switched to hospitality, and I came to the same restaurant I was working at, Luciano's. At the time, I think I'd become a server, and I told my manager at the time and my chef at the time, "Hey, I just changed my major. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life." They all looked at me like,
That's
"Are
what
you?"
I was going to ask.
They were like, "Are you
what
crazy?"
Was the transition?
They were like, "Are you crazy? This is what you want to do. You enjoy seeing this life."
They had to try to talk you out of it.
Yeah. Oh, everybody tried to talk me out of it. Like my parents tried to talk me out of it. Like everybody I knew tried to talk me out of it. I'm like, no, this is what I want to do, and I'm just gonna do it.
I know that wasn't easy.
Oh, it's not easy.
Because if I think about Georgia Tech architecture, this is deemed as a worldwide successful place or positions that are worldwide. And so, not saying that the restaurant isn't, but I'm thinking back then, being in the restaurant, I don't think was one of the things that people saw as I'm going to be super rich and our family's going to retire. Like, it was one of those things where you just kind of fell into it. And you did it, or you did it because of the love of it. But I don't think it was one of the more sought after things, unless it was just how you were raised in your mom's kitchen or something.
It was definitely not. It was definitely something like you need a lot of prep telling this to your family, right? Like at a time, I'm going to Georgia State. I'm staying in downtown.
Okay, so
next
you
to Georgia State.
Got in the state. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm living in the state. I'm still working at this restaurant in Duluth. Then I had to kind of tell my parents over the phone that what I'm doing. I hadn't told them yet. I'm like, I'll change all this, and I hadn't told them.
I was going to say, how long did you live that life before you called them up and be like, hey, man, I'm going to keep it honest?
It took a minute. And they took it better than I thought they were going to take.
Really? Because foreign parents don't play.
Oh, yeah. You know, foreign parents, you got to be lawyer, engineer, doctor. That's it. 3 options. There's no negotiation, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. My parents are from Haiti, and similar story. They came here when they were super young. And then I got here, and then, you know, for them, it's all about giving their kids the opportunity. And so when their kids come over and they don't take advantage of the opportunity, they usually got an earful for them. So I
think what actually helped me at the time, because my aunt at the time, Farouk that owns Le Bon Noche, at the time, she graduated Georgia Tech with chemical engineering.
Jesus.
She was working as an intern at a law firm to see if he wanted to go to law school. Then she dropped all that and she went to Cordon Bleu in Paris to culinary school.
Oh, okay.
I think that helped my transition a lot.
Because you saw it.
Because she was my aunt, right? She's like older than me. She's already gone all this education and she's switching to culinary. So I didn't get as much shit.
Got you. Because she did
that. Yeah, she did that ahead of time, like before me. So it kind of helped my transition. Yeah.
Got you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because had she failed, we don't know if your parents would have been okay with that.
No, at the time she was just going. She was just starting.
Okay.
She moved to Paris. She went to culinary school. So I think that helped the process. Plus, like everyone in the family like loves to cook. My aunts, like everybody.
So they felt
into cooking.
They could see why.
They could see why. Yeah, they could see why. They were definitely disappointed. Yeah, but they could see why.
They could see why. Gotcha. I love that your parents are so open to their kids just being happy.
Exactly.
And I think that is, you know, sometimes, and then I'll say all parents, but sometimes parents get an overwhelming need to want to protect their children from possible mistakes that may happen, and they don't allow that kid to fully spread its wings. And I think with your parents being just grounded, and which is amazing because they're not even here.
They're not even here.
So it's like they're hearing and seeing. Social media is probably not even a thing yet.
No, not back then, what we had, like the best thing we had
MySpace?
I had this Nokia flip phone, and I could Skype on it.
Okay. So Skype,
I had a Skype on it, and that was like the best thing you had at the time. Yeah.
So they were able to really just trust in you.
Yeah.
Got
you. There was really not a whole lot going on.
Shout out to mom and dad, man, letting that kid chase his dream. Okay, so you completely dip out. You work in the restaurant. You go from busser to what?
So I go from busser to server. Then I did a year or 2 in serving. This is all where I'm doing. Getting my bachelor's in Georgia State.
Okay, so school and working.
School and
afternoons
working.
in restaurant. Nice.
Full time in the school, 40 to 50 hours a week in the restaurant, and got into got an option in becoming an AGM. So I started managing a little bit on the weekends. Basically, until I finished school, I was still like serving / managing at the same restaurant for around 5 years.
Gotcha. Serving's where the money's at.
Yeah,
managing's
where you get the experience.
Yeah. Got it.
Exactly.
So for anybody who wants to kind of move up, don't don't dip out on the serving yet because you got to keep the bills paid.
Yeah.
But also get the experience from the training. Okay, cool. And then from there, you got the management skills. You're keeping the bills paid. You're keeping the lights on. And then what?
Then I'm almost graduating school and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step?
Got it. And the degree was in what?
Hospitality.
Hospitality. Oh, okay, smart.
Yeah. Then I'm trying to figure out what to do what. So I had this 1 year that I switched like, I think 6 or 7 jobs. I worked at a lot of restaurants. I worked at Davio's. I worked for Waffle House. I tried to go like a career at Waffle House.
Okay.
I tried getting into Houston's. Worked with Castellucci's Iberian Pig.
Castellucci. That's
yeah,
my
I worked
guy.
everywhere.
Yeah,
right? I worked
Iberian
everywhere.
Pig.
Then I ended up at.
They just got a
I saw
that.
got a
They
Michelin
one.
Star from
Gotcha.
Mujo. Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah. They're
Shout out to
That's
Fred
awesome.
and the fam. His story's pretty crazy too.
Yeah.
With his dad and the family stuff like that. But okay,
I love that they still have it as a family business.
That's
It's
wild,
cool to me.
right?
Yeah, it's so cool to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so just switch around a bunch of jobs. At the time, I was still trying to figure out like what is it I want to do. Like I'm like, okay, I was trying to get into a management program at Houston's because Hillstones has the craziest management program,
Okay.
and it's very hard to get into. And it's one of those career opportunities that like they tell you today like, hey, here's your ticket, you're moving to the city. Like that's how they run it, and you just have to
They
obey
select
by
the
everything.
people. Gotcha.
Yeah, they move you around everywhere, and Waffle House was another option because I met a bunch of people at Waffle House. There was a lot of career opportunity to grow in the company and all that. But none of that really gave me that experience that I wanted because I wanted to own my own restaurant. It didn't matter what it was, right? I was like, I have to open my own restaurant by the time I'm 30, which I think, almost about the same time, right?
Okay.
So the goal was to just learn as much as I could until I figure out how to make the next step.
Wherever the door would have been.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just look for that door to open, basically.
Gotcha.
So at the time, I was living in Bucket with a couple of roommates. One of my best friends who's keep trying to tell me, like, I was looking for a good serving job that I could learn from and all that stuff. One of my good buddies was keep telling me, hey, go work at this Persian restaurant called Rumi's. I'd never heard of it, never been there. At the time, like up until that point, I really didn't have any Iranian friends or any Persian friends. I wasn't really involved with the Persian community as much. I was just working, going to school. My time was fully filled with activities like that. So I really hadn't like created any connection to Persian community or Persian food.
Gotcha.
Ever since I left Iran.
That's what I was going to say.
And since I left Iran, I was like, Persian food was never really an option.
It wasn't hot down here.
Yeah, it wasn't hot down here, so I didn't know there was room. There was room to grow with it, right? Up until I got to Rumi's, and then
one location they only had at that time.
Yeah, at that time they only had the Sandy Springs location.
Sandy Springs,
yeah.
okay.
So I go to.
And Rumi's, guys, Rumi's is a Persian restaurant off of Roswell Road. Persian food.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were the first ones to do it. One of the first?
No, they weren't one of the first ones to do it. They were one of the first ones that put it on the map.
Okay.
Like they did it very well.
Very
they
well.
upscaled it. They were pioneers in what you see now as like the
which is a trend.
high-end
I'm
Persian
seeing
food.
it. Got you.
Yeah. They're the one that put it on the map.
Gotcha.
Before them, it was just all mom and pop restaurants.
Okay, gotcha.
There was nothing big. Even if right now, if you go to different cities in the U.S., it's a lot of it mom and pop restaurants.
Still.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Room is still that pioneer that everybody's going after, basically.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So at the time, that was the thing, right? But I didn't want to work at Persian restaurants. So I got a job at Canoe. The manager was like, hey, you start in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, shit, I'm not working anywhere. I can't be without a job for 2 weeks. And it's like, it's not something I do.
Yeah.
Once I'm done with that interview, literally about to leave Canoe, my buddy's like, bro, just go to Rumi's. Just go apply there, right?
Is he still your friend to this day?
Yeah, he's still my best friend. Yeah. So I go to Rumi's. I get a job there. They hire me right on the spot. They're like, start tomorrow. I'm like, all right. Start tomorrow is good. I'm like, let's do it.
They wasn't playing. Gotcha.
Yeah, I started working there and
busser, server. Okay.
I started working there as a server. Within 3 months, they offered me to be a GM of the restaurant, which was very weird transition because it was like, here's the keys, here's the title.
Make this run.
Kind of no training. Take it over.
The best freaking way to learn it.
Exactly.
right there.
Because it's like you make every fucking mistake you could possibly make.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like I had this one manager at my old job, the Luciano's that I was working at. It was like 1 year he was nominating me to be like employee of the year. Then he was like, this is one man that I know that I've made every mistake in the book. I'm like, yeah, that's the best way to learn, man. If you don't make mistake, you're not learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's always mistake to be learned. And I learned so much in that restaurant. So much in the restaurant. I learned how to basically own a restaurant because it kind of felt like that, right? At the time, it was right before they actually, I think at the time, they only had that one location. Like 4 years later, they opened their Alfredo location, I think, 4 or 5 years later.
Okay, gotcha.
Owner was very hands-on.
I didn't even know there was an Alfredo location.
Yeah, there was one in Avalon, yeah.
Gotcha.
The owner is very hands-on, and he was basically the person I would report to for most part.
Gotcha.
Right? And he was way detail-oriented. Like, you would get your ass chewed
if
anything was wrong. Yeah, if anything was wrong.
Is that a need in the restaurant business? Because I hear that often. Even when I watch shows like Chef Ramsay, it's like, for the good ones, but like the good restaurants, it's always like the owner literally has his foot in everything.
Yeah, you have to.
And they never leave. They never get out.
You can't. It's like, to run a restaurant properly, like, there is no way for it to, unless you've been around for a while and you have the crew that everybody knows what they're doing. But when you're a startup and when you're like, it's your first baby, it's like literally having your first baby, right?
Yeah.
Like when you have your first baby, you read everything. You read everything. You watch every video on how to feed them, how to put them to sleep, or what this means with the skin, all that stuff. Is like, it's the first baby. Like, you babysit that baby every day. Like when I opened DELBAR, it was like, I was at the restaurant 7 days a week. I would get to, even when I was doing construction, I was there at 7 a.m. I would leave by midnight. Every day. Because it was during pandemic too. It was like, I had to just kind of do everything myself as low cost as I could possibly do it, right?
Gotcha.
And even when we opened for like lunch and dinner. So me and my crew, like I would literally pick up my crew at 9 a.m. None of them had cars. I would go pick them up in Sandy Springs. I would drop them at 1:30 in the morning. And every day, 7 days a week, every day.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, at the time, we were only open 6 days. We were closed on Mondays. Mondays was basically to just do construction and fill the building and fix everything that we had issues with throughout the week. But it's kind of nonstop. So it's different. It's like you have to have your food and everything. You have to know every detail about your restaurant, what's going on. Because otherwise, there's so much variable in the restaurant business. It's not like me making a cup. Like, I'll make the product as a cup as long as my production was good.
We're done.
They can hold the drinks. I can ship it without it getting damaged to the customer. I'm good.
Right.
But in restaurant business, you're talking about from raw ingredients coming in, checking them, your employees' mood, like dictates half of the problem. They're like almost most of the experience. It all depends on how your employees react. Right?
Gotcha.
It's such a like people oriented and so many different variables.
Yeah. Because you're literally dealing, and I find that even in my business with training, every single person is different. Yeah. So the response to every single thing is different. So you can provide one objective and it impacts 10 people 10 different ways. And if your goal is hospitality, which in that sense, training you would want that to be, you have to cater to each individual to make sure that they're happy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
To get somebody, not saying that an employee can't grasp that, but to make them love that and enjoy that and care for that is going to be difficult when it's not theirs.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even expect that somebody would love your sneakers more than you love your own sneakers. So it would kind of, now as I'm wrapping my head as you explain that, it makes complete sense why you would need to be in there heavily, because you need that impact and that impression on every single person to be the best possible and move on from there. Okay, so Rumi sets you up. You learn in the front of the house, back of the house.
Yeah.
You're learning are you getting into the finances? Like how much stuff go for? What's the price on the market?
A little bit into finances. Not as much as you would think.
Okay.
But a little bit into finances. But I always believed, like, when it comes to business, it's like finance is something I look at the last or secondary. I look at what I'm doing. Like at the end of the day, business is there to fulfill a need, right?
Right.
That's how business is created. Like, as long as I'm fulfilling a need for my clientele, for my guests and database, as long as they're coming in, they're having the best experience, they're having the best time,
I'm good.
Leaving happy, I'm good. Yeah. I can always figure out the finances on the back end, right?
Gotcha.
Like, as long as my guest is happy, my clientele is happy, everything else should work itself out.
Gotcha.
Like, for a lot of times, and it's kind of worked out in my way. That aspect I would always like relied on somebody else to come in and kind of help me out on that. Yeah, but most of it is like coming in, learning everything from scratch, basically, because like I take over a role that I was definitely not qualified for at a time.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to get it done right.
Gotcha.
That was a very interesting moment. We literally go to dinner one night. We're like, all right, do you want to take this role? Sure. Go to dinner at a time with the owner, which was Ali. Stephen Kaplan is like right-hand man. Now is like CFO and part owner. And Terry, who was the chef at the time. And dinner was actually at Umi.
Oh, okay. Got you. Umi's is Farshid?
Farshid, yeah.
Okay, got you. I haven't seen him. He doesn't have an Instagram anymore.
No, he doesn't have an Instagram, and he's working on a project in New York. So
okay, that's probably what it is. Because I used to always watch his tennis and his old school cars with old school music. And then one day I just never saw him again. Yeah. So good to hear. Okay. Now, do you feel as if that, when you saw the success with Persian cuisine, the way that they were able to run it so airtight, clearly setting that standard, was that really what was a seed planted at that point in time?
Yeah. That was the seed.
Oh shit, we're gonna go get it now.
But Rumi's was also the first kind of restaurant that I worked at that I saw it in like a different level, right? Rumi's like a gigantic restaurant in Sandy Springs.
Gotcha.
And it's doing crazy numbers and crazy volume, and so much workflow coming in and going out of the restaurant. Open 7 days a week, lunch and dinner.
They love that.
Oh yeah,
food.
yeah. That's like. Yeah, Rumi's put Persian food on the map, at least in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And became the kind of pioneer that everybody else went after. But I wanted to do always something more than just Persian.
Okay.
So when it got to time to open DELBAR is when Middle Eastern food started getting a lot of recognition all around the country. So there was like restaurants in London that got a Bib Gourmand. There was this Persian restaurants growing, so many Middle Eastern restaurants that I followed. And for me, the trigger point was when this restaurant in DC got a Michelin Star called Maidan.
Okay.
Once they got that Michelin Star, started being on cover of all the magazines, I was like, okay, this is about to be unwrapped.
Gotcha.
Like Middle Eastern food is about to take over.
It's about to explode.
Because at the time you had everything else is there, like Mexican food, Italian food, French food.
Yes.
It's like whatever you name it.
Yeah.
They're all out there.
Been around.
They've been around.
But Persian,
Middle Eastern, not
overnight.
been around. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, side note, what is Michelin? Like, what is Michelin Star? Isn't that the tire company?
It is a tire company.
So I saw the logo on there, and I'm like, my entire life, and I've been around for 35 years, I have always assumed Michelin was this high-end brand. And then I saw the tire guy running around, and I was like, hold up, the mechanic place is Michelin? And I never made the connection.
Yeah, I mean, you see that tire guy, it was like this goofy little
tire guy. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, that has, how does that even tie into restaurants?
So this is how it started. I can't remember if the year was 19... I don't think it was 1920. Maybe it was 1920. It was 1920 or 1980, right?
Okay.
So Michelin was at the time was making tires in Europe, right? They were trying to convince people to drive more. So they go through tires more, so they buy more tires. So they started raiding restaurants. They started raiding restaurants all around like France and all around the world to be like, hey, this restaurant is worth driving to get that culinary experience. Like this restaurant is worth traveling to as a like exclusive destination, right?
Marketing.
That's kind of how it started, to get people to use tires more and drive more and go through it more.
Who is the founder of that marketing?
And now there's this gigantic restaurant reviewer. It's like, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
A tire company whose focus was just to get you to drive to the restaurant is now become, is it the most prestigious award?
It is most prestigious. Yeah, I think it's like, I'll consider it like Oscars in our world, right?
Oh my God.
Michelin's like Oscars for restaurateurs or chefs or,
Golly. So let's rewind this. We're at DELBAR. Are you working behind the scenes? Are you calling auntie for that open Labanache? Like, how on earth are you GMing a restaurant and saying, how are you building this thing behind the scenes?
So this is how it happened. So at a time, Rumi's wanted me to go around the U.S. and open locations for them.
Okay.
And I I kind of knew at the time I was supposed to actually open up Lebanon with my aunt. I was supposed to be part of her team, but on the side notes, I was always looking for a place for my own concept. Right, I had a fast casual concept I wanted to open at the time. It was still Middle Eastern, Persian, but I couldn't get anybody to answer my calls. Like Croc Street, out Pond City Market. I was like any realtors you can tell. It's like I've been hitting every door I could, but I couldn't get my foot in the door. And
what year is this?
This is 2018, late 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, late 2018, 2019. And then the time comes, one of my best friends at the time, I got him into the restaurant business when he moved to US from Iran. Then he went to the car business and he had a partner and they were working well together. Then it was like he was keep hitting me up. I was like, hey, bro, let's open a restaurant together. I'm like, no, if I ever want to open a restaurant, it's going to be by myself. I was like, I'd never wanted to open with anybody else because I just thought of somebody else being on my way and not understanding the vision.
Shit is annoying.
Not getting what I wanted to and what I want to get to.
Back and forth, all that.
Especially in the restaurant business because you're putting so much sweat and tears, so many hours, and it's like it's very unpredictable. It's a 95% chance of failure. It's like one of the most failed businesses ever.
Yeah, and you knew he wasn't going to be in it.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be in it. So at the time, I didn't want to do it until I got really tired of where I was, like working at Roomies. I'm like, I was just tired of it.
I'll take whatever, man.
Let's fucking do it. Let's see what's going to happen. And we go around looking for locations, and like location after location doesn't work out. People not accepting us, blah blah blah. Until one Friday night I was off from work, and I called my cousin saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" I was like, usually when you work in a restaurant, when you're off on the weekends, you have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
You either have a go-to spot you go to, or you're not gonna end up doing anything because really. Most of your friends don't plan with you anymore because you never go to events. You're always at work, so you never know what's going on.
Right.
So I called them. They were going to this Indian restaurant, which was named Tabla. It was sorry, not Tabla. Right, the DELBAR location in my park. Yeah, not Tabla. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the name now. Amara.
Okay.
This is where DELBAR current location is in my park.
Okay,
location,
gotcha. They had that before.
Yeah, they were going there for a tasting for my cousin's wedding. It was an Indian restaurant at the time. So I'll go in there with them on a Friday night. I'll see the restaurant is like very slow. And Inman Park was my area that I used to always hang out. It was like, this area is popping.
Inman just started popping.
Yeah.
So we're talking about post, like Kill Me Crazy's already there.
Yeah.
Got you. Because
so Inman started popping basically with Barcelona.
Got you, Barcelona. Yeah. Once they cracked that seal, then the Beltline kind of made its thing, King of Pops.
Yeah.
And then all the restaurants started gravitating.
Correct. I mean, if you look at it that way, Soda had been there for years, but it wasn't really. The area didn't become popping until Beltline started getting open. Everybody getting to know the Beltline, all that stuff. Yeah. So this is back in 2019, early 2019, or maybe late 2018. Not that long ago. We go to this restaurant for food tasting. Food was awesome. I walk in the restaurant. I'm seeing Friday night, 8 o'clock. Restaurant is empty. I'm like, what's going on? Then me and my cousin are talking, right? We picked this guy as a caterer for his wedding. I started making connection with the guy who owned it, Sandeep.
So the food was good.
Yeah, food was great. Yeah, me and Sandeep still talk to this day. I started texting Sandeep. I was like, hey, if you ever want to get out of it, let me know. I will buy your lease out. Because at the time I was looking for a location, I couldn't get my hands on a proper location.
And the fact that it was already
the fact that it was like the best neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
When you're trying to get your foot in the door, it's very hard at the beginning because no landlord, especially if you don't have a name, you don't have a brand. I was never a chef. I was just a restaurant manager, so it's like they wouldn't trust you.
Yeah. Same thing with my situation at the gym. I didn't have, unless you have like that lineage or somebody like a big person to co-sign and set the tone, you got to put capital down. And so I had to put a hefty amount of money down just so that they give me a 5-year lease at my spot.
Yeah, so that was the case for us too. We were like, okay. So I made that connection with the guy. At the time, none of the other locations worked out. Either they were like, none of them accepted us, and thankfully they didn't accept us because if we would have taken any of those other locations,
it wouldn't have been
with pandemic coming up, I would have been bankrupt and never made it, right?
Gotcha.
Because there was no fucking way.
Yeah.
Then I make this connection with the guy. Wedding is over. Time goes by. And he tells me, hey, you reached out to me a little too late because I'm literally just partnering up with somebody to switch the concept to a pub. Same location, change it to a pub. Change it to a...
Like a beer,
yeah, like
pretzel,
a beer and wings kind of place.
wings,
Yeah.
Games, all that.
Time goes by. None of the location work. We're failing on every location. I'm still at Roomies. It's like this is like end of 2019, January 1st, 2020.
Okay.
8 in the morning. First phone call I get.
8 a.m. Now, how many years you're at? How many years is this at Roomies?
At Roomies, probably 7 years.
7.
Yeah.
So you put your time in.
Oh yeah, I put
This
my
wasn't
time
something you jumped out like year 3, like let's run this shit.
No. And this was like I'm talking about like putting my time in. Like
Time. Like thoroughly immersed.
Like imagine the entire time I worked at Roomies, I never even took a vacation.
Didn't want to.
Never took a vacation because I never thought my team was capable of handling the restaurant without me there.
Best thing they did for you.
Yeah. I never took a vacation, right?
Gotcha.
I was working 24/7, and this is when Avalon is opening, so I'm running like the Sandy Spring location. It's
So you
huge.
bounce back.
No, I wasn't at that location. I was running Sandy Spring solely.
Gotcha. And that's a staple in Sandy Springs.
This is the staple. Yeah.
It's always
the
busy
original.
Fridays. I mean, every day, damn near.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Every day is busy.
And they do lunch.
Yeah, 7 days a week. Every Roomies location is open 7 days a week, lunch and dinner.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So y'all don't even get time to reset.
Yeah.
It's like you
constant.
Shut down. All right, you're right back
12
up.
to 14 hours every day.
Gotcha.
Your off days, you have to come and take care of something. Like,
you got to put the fire out. Yeah.
But then January 1st, I get a phone call from my agent, and he's like, "Hey, you remember that guy that you talked to about that the Indian location in Inman Park?" I'm like, "Yeah." He was like, "He wants to sell you his lease."
Now, who's calling you? The realtor?
Yeah, this is my agent. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So apparently, I found out my agent was also his agent.
Oh my god.
So he knew him too. So he calls me. He's like, "Hey, he wants to sell you his lease, January 1st, 2020, 8 in the morning." I'm like, "Tell him I'll meet him there in 2 hours."
How do you sell a lease?
So selling lease is like this. So it requires a lot of landlord approval, right? Let's say if I have an 11-year lease on a restaurant, right? I can either cancel my lease, lose my security deposit, fight and battle. No, you can't really walk. There's a lot of liabilities involved at the end of it. Yeah. Or you can find somebody to take it over your lease. And that's the easiest way to get out of a current lease, right?
Got you.
You find somebody else who can take over your lease.
Gotcha.
And his pub concept didn't really work out the way he wanted at the time.
Oh, so the pubs got up?
Yeah, got up. Yeah, it was working. But he was opening a location in Bucket, which is the current Tabla.
Gotcha. Which is the one we just talked about. Gotcha.
Yeah. So he was opening that location. He wanted to get out of this one. And he had kids at the time, like a couple of young kids. He was too busy, and his dad was getting older.
So the 14-hour days don't make any sense anymore.
Yeah. Gotcha. So he wanted to get out of this one. And it worked out great for me because I already made that connection with him. Then not the biggest obstacle is like getting landlord approval.
Gotcha.
Right?
Because I'm still
no chef. I'm still no experience running, actually owning or running a restaurant.
They're like, absolutely
properly.
not.
Yeah, they're like, but I got lucky because the landlord of that property was also one of the regulars at Roomies. He wasn't a regular, but a lot of his friends went to Roomies.
Okay. So he knew.
And a lot of his friends knew me. Because all his operators,
because you're the guy that's in
there. Yeah. So they put a good word for me, and it worked out to my favor.
That's all it took.
That connection. It's all about the connection.
And
remember, all this piled up because of a connection. Like, this is what I try to teach all my servers and like all my staff at the time. It's like, hey, don't look at a serving job as a serving job. Look at this as networking, bro. You are getting paid to network. With the most important people in the city, you cannot beat this shit.
You can't beat this, bro. Serving has gotten me through my entire life.
Yeah.
And simply what you said, it's made me a better person when it comes to talking with people, building relationships, and just understanding. And it's something that all races, color, religious backgrounds can come together and relate to. And so, holy crap!
Yeah, that's literally
how you get
that's
this
how
lease.
it happened. Yeah, so we scheduled a meeting with the landlord to go over the lease. We're gonna buy the lease, buy all the equipment he had, everything he had there as part of the lease, and this is all like by the time we're at this point, this is mid-February of 2020. Mid-February 2020. Yeah.
Before we get into that one right there, I know where we're headed. Well, so. When you're at Roomies, are you just saving all of your money? And then obviously you said you're not married. You have your girlfriend at the time, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. No kids. So do you just stack
Yeah, I just save all money, but I had partners at the time, so my
Okay.
partners were gonna help me open this up.
Gotcha. So it was a couple heads coming
Correct.
together
Yeah.
and create this.
Yeah.
Now, are these guys all leaning on you to know what the hell you're doing?
Yeah, none of them have any experience in restaurants, nothing. They don't know anything about it.
They just
were like
trust
those
that you
silent
will make it
partners.
work.
They were like, hey, you're
Make
gonna
it
figure
work.
out, you're gonna run it. One of them didn't even know what the name of the restaurant was or what cuisine I was gonna serve until I opened up.
So I'm noticing, and it was a similar key with me, when you don't come from truckloads of money and capital, you have got to leave an everlasting impression on your circle of friends and their friends.
everybody
so
cross
that
path with.
they will see you and not think twice to invest in you. Not even the concept. I think you could have made up a damn ice cream shop. Those same investors would have ran with it. Because they saw your commitment, the journey, your experience, and the passion, and they're saying, "Oh no, we're whatever he does. Like even if he loses, we'll lose with him. Because if we're gonna roll our dice anywhere, we rather roll it with you. So that's key.
It's crazy. Like with every people they cross path with, like I still serve. I have clientele that come to my Alfredo location now that I used to serve on him 16 years ago.
They watched that
when it was my
entire
first job.
world.
Yeah. Wow. Right? Isn't that like all those connections become something?
Yes.
They become very, very valuable.
Absolutely.
Right? Most people find out like open a DELBAR, open my own restaurant, people start coming to support.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that kept us open. Right? Because we have no brand name. We were opening at a location that was constantly failing for other businesses.
Right.
Look,
So
we
it
were
didn't even
like
make
the
any sense.
third or fourth
Yeah,
business. Like
beginning.
as I was putting down my coming soon sign and working outside, like I did all the construction myself.
Yeah.
As I'm in there doing construction, I could hear everybody passing by and be like, "Oh, this place is changing again."
And
This
when
place
the
is
doors
changing
are open.
Yeah, like I'm like that. That gives you like a very scary.
You go to sleep
feeling,
at night with
right?
your eyes open, like.
As imagine,
come
like
on,
we
man.
signed the lease in mid or late February, the pandemic hit.
Yeah, let's get into that. So
Pandemic hit, and nobody knows what the fuck is happening.
Gotcha.
Like nobody has any idea what's going on, and usually like you see these things in the news, and they never make it to
they
US.
never make it here.
They never make it to US.
Yes.
I'm like, all right, just something happened in another side
Not
of
a big
the
deal. It'll
planet.
never
Yeah, it
affect
will be
us.
fine. Then next thing you know, it hits the city, everything shuts down. I'm in the permitting process. Like I'm about to open a restaurant at the worst time anybody could possibly open a restaurant, right?
And it doesn't go away quickly.
It doesn't go away quickly. You start lingering around. So during this entire time I'm doing construction in the restaurant, I open for takeout May 5th of 2020.
Okay, marketing, brand. Well, let's take it back. Where does the design come from?
I design everything.
So that's that architecture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you literally can build a restaurant like MEP, everything.
I can build a restaurant from
engineering,
scratch,
plumbing,
yeah.
from scratch.
I'm not that great in MVP, but I can
Okay.
do a lot.
And
Yeah.
then enough to see what the guys who are certified to do
Correct.
it submit it, and you're like, yeah, I want this.
Like imagine like I had to submit plans for the city. I had no architect. I had no GC.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I have no chefs. I have no managers. Just me. It's a one-man show. It's a one-man show. I got a couple of contractors. We're doing framework at some job. I brought him in to teach him things that I needed to get done. I'm opening a restaurant. I've never cooked on charcoal. No Persian restaurant in the city at the time cooked on charcoal. And I
Why
wanted
is
to be the
that?
first one cooking on charcoal because it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do.
Okay.
And it's the most ethnic way of cooking kebabs is on charcoal. So
That's
I wanted
what
to
they
cook
do at
everything on
home.
charcoal.
Gotcha.
So I had to figure out a ways to differentiate myself, right? I was like, I'm competing. First of all, I came from Roomies. I'm going to be at the end of the day competing with Roomies at some point.
How was that conversation when you dip?
So when I dipped, everything was good until somebody posted an article about me opening a restaurant, and they put that I was the owner of Roomies instead of putting I was a manager at Roomies. Then all that backfired on me. Ended up with lawsuit with Roomies and all that shit.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
even your thing.
It wasn't even my thing. Yeah.
Golly,
Yeah.
they just made that assumption from the outside.
Correct. Then I ended up getting sued, and I was like, that's another part.
I
of it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get it. It's a long story.
I hear you.
Yeah. So like I'm about to open a restaurant, pandemic hits, I have no idea what the fuck to do. I'm out of money, I have no source of income. right?
Scared from 1 to 10. How scared are you?
Very fucking scared.
Okay.
Very fucking scared.
Like just scared to fail.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I
Because
was
that's a
scared to
fear.
fail. Yeah. This is the worst. I mean, it's the worst thing could happen.
Because
But
the story is from where you come from,
Yeah.
the mom, the dad, the changing the career,
Yeah.
to fail would be,
miserable.
I would run.
Yeah, miserable. And it was like the worst times. Like you have no fucking clue what's gonna happen.
Right. And then nobody can support you.
No idea what's gonna happen.
Because you're
Nobody can
probably
support you.
one of the few friends out of your circle that's even doing stuff like this.
So, yeah, at the time it's like very scary. Like my partners are like, okay, when is this opening? When is this gonna be making
the pressure
money?
starts on them.
Pressure starts getting on there. They're like, we open a restaurant. The worst time of the fucking we could possibly open
Can
a
we
restaurant.
back out? How do we get out of this?
And the my main partner didn't want to open a restaurant. He only got into it because the other one was pushing him. So there were two partners that had a car dealership together.
Okay.
And the older one, the one that actually had the finances, he didn't want to get into it. He had restaurants and clubs before. He didn't want to get into it.
Oh.
Right? So the other one basically kind of forced him into it. And pandemic hits. I have no budget to make this restaurant happen. I have to do everything myself. I have to figure out the branding, the logo. I had no chef at a time.
That's what's gonna be branding, logo. You just sitting in the house on Canva?
Yeah. Canva, no. I started hiring freelancers from
Scad?
on 99 Design. Have you heard
Okay,
of 99
yes,
Design?
I have.
Yeah. I hired freelancers that were in different countries to build my website, all that stuff.
Guys, hop on 99 Design. If you're building or you need creative ideas, it sounds like they have people that are doing freelance work that can help you out. Shout out
So I had
to
to create the branding. I had to create the menu. Then I'm sitting down. I'm like, okay, this is it. I need to figure out how to differentiate myself, right? I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm going to cook on charcoal. I don't care. I've never done it, but I'm going to figure it out.
Okay.
I'm like, when it comes to rices, I want to cook every rice with the tadig, which is like that crispy crust that we serve on the rices.
You gonna tell us how y'all make that stuff, man? I can't even make rice in the damn rice pot, man. This is ridiculous.
This is at a time something nobody else is doing in U.S.
So that doesn't exist?
Not here. Like back home, this is like a biggest part of Persian hospitality is to making sure you have that tadig, because that's like always reserved for the guest of honor or elderly, right? But nobody's doing it in commercial. Right? Yeah.
So in Caribbean culture, in Haiti, it's called I think it's called like griot, but it's the rice that it's where the oil in the bottom of the pan meet. And my mom always give us, like, she'd ration it a lot at the dinner table. Like, all right, you can have a little bit, you can have, we love it. It's the crunchy.
That's like that's what everybody's best part.
Oh my God.
So that like at a time, no restaurant in the U.S. was doing it, and on the especially not on a commercial level, because it's very hard to maintain and master it, right? And I was like, no, I have to serve every rice with this. I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna have to redo the menu. I'm gonna make sure my menu is a la carte, where you purchase your meat separate and your rice is separate, so I can give this tadik to everybody. Because there was no way I could serve it with every dish. There's no way.
Right.
Like, looking at, like, from the start, I was thinking about volume, right? My biggest thing was volume.
There's no
Is
way.
this doable in the volume? No, there's no freaking way. I'm like, okay, we are gonna have to redo the whole menu. I'm like, I'm gonna change the menu. It's not gonna be like the classic Persian style or Middle Eastern style menu. It's everything gonna be a la carte. Everything a la carte. You can build it the same way you want.
Okay.
Because and I want to bring a lot more Middle Eastern food into it, because I don't want to just stick to the same food everybody does. Because when you go to Persian restaurants, like 90% of the menu is always exactly the same.
Salmon, chicken.
Yeah, everything is exactly the same, and I didn't want it to be that way. I'm like, I'm gonna focus on the food that nobody else focuses on. Like, if it exists in somebody else's menu, I'm not gonna have it on my menu.
Now, what makes you go opposite of everything that is working that you saw at a place where you were at before?
Because I had to create a niche.
Okay.
I'm like, I need to have my own niche. Like, I can't be just another Persian restaurant.
Okay.
I'm not gonna survive. These restaurants have reputation. They've been around for years. They have chefs, right? I'm like, it's not gonna work out, right? And again, my goal was to get it to that next level, right? It was like, the reason I started doing it Middle Eastern instead of Persian was, again, because I started seeing all the Middle Eastern recognition that Middle Eastern restaurants were getting. Right, it was like the beginning of the Middle Eastern food boom.
Okay, so you might, I'm sure our viewers are going to have these questions. Middle Eastern versus Persian, like how do you know the difference when you're eating out at a restaurant or
Very good
the
question.
food?
So Persian food is mainly the food from Iran.
Okay.
Right? It's technically Iranian food.
Gotcha.
Back in the day, it was called Persia. We were a lot bigger. We had part of Afghanistan, part of Turkey. Like, we were a bigger empire. Now it's mainly Iran. But when we call Persian food, we literally talk about the food from Iran.
Gotcha.
And even when we talk about food from Iran, we're talking about the most common food of Iran, right? It's not like that. Iran has so many ethnicity and so many different ways of cooking food. And food is different from, like, when you go across the borders of Iran, the food changes as you go around. So the food that you see over here as Persian food is a food that you would see in the capital of Iran, like Tehran, right? It's like the most common food. Like there are like maybe 10 food that is in every Persian restaurant's menu.
Gotcha.
Right? And they all are just focusing on the same items, like the same stews, same kebabs, same rices, right?
Gotcha.
Everybody's doing the same exact thing. And I didn't want to be the same exact thing. I was like, no, I need to be something new. I can't be just another Persian restaurant in the city, because there's so many Persian restaurants in the city. Now it's like, whatever it was at the time, now it's probably 3 times more.
There's a lot more places.
There's a lot more.
Gotcha.
Like places popping out of
Pasha,
nowhere.
is Pasha Persian?
Pasha is Turkish.
Turkish,
But
gotcha.
yeah, it's like same thing. Like even Turkish food at the time, there wasn't that many of it.
Gotcha.
Right? Middle Eastern food in general, there was nothing. Now you have Zakia, you have Aziza, you have Rina, you have so many different Middle Eastern restaurants in the city.
Gotcha.
And my thing was to just keep my hands open. I was like, I want to be able to do more with my menu than just Persian food.
Okay.
I want to bring in Turkish, bring in Lebanese, bring in Israeli. I want to blend in the food as much as I can. The Syrian, even for the Iranian food, I'm focusing on border food, the food that is not very common that most people don't know. There are a lot of times I'll put things on my menu. People are like, "This is not even Iranian." I was like, "It is. It just comes from this part of Iran."
They've only been to the main area.
Exactly.
Iran. Gotcha.
Like what they're used to is like, and it becomes really funny when I get like more ethnic Persians coming to a restaurant and they automatically don't even look at the menu. They order something because it's so normal for them to go to a Persian restaurant and have these items on the menu. When they come to our restaurant, we'll tell them no. They get very confused and was like, okay, how do you not have these items, right? You automatically creates me like bad reviews. I have no idea how many bad reviews I get all the time. It's like, what kind of Persian restaurant doesn't have ghormeh sabzi on the menu? I'm like, well, it's not Persian, it's Middle Eastern. That's why the Middle Eastern exists.
You're just making that assumption that it should only have that. Okay.
Because my goal was to be more than just a Persian restaurant. First of all, I'm one of those guys that gets tired of things very quick.
Yeah.
I'll have to be able to change my menu, elevate it, keep playing around with food to just keep it exciting.
Is that what you still do that?
I still do that, yeah.
So it's like a rotating thing.
Yeah. Like 60-70% of menu is my core signature items that always stay. The rest of it always change.
Okay. Is this quarterly, annually?
Quarterly, monthly, like with season, yeah.
Got you, with season.
Yeah, so we always change around. Like when it's colder, we start bringing more cold dishes on the menu. It's like we start warmer, we start bringing more seasonal things on the menu. So it all depends on like what's going on around. And every location is different. Like certain things that work great in Men Park, that doesn't work that great in Alpharetta. So I changed my menu based on those things.
Now is this just more like a numbers thing?
Not a numbers thing, demographic.
Oh, okay.
Like your clientele changes, right? Like I have more ethnic clientele in Alpharetta location.
Okay.
I have a lot more Middle Eastern, so I'll put a lot more of the Middle Eastern menu items.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I change up menu depending on location that I'm at, because I know what will work, what will not work, depending on restaurants that are in the area and how successful and what kind of cuisine are they running.
Gotcha.
Right?
Now, are these mom's dishes?
Some.
So a mixture of mom.
Yeah, mixture of restaurants that I've been to, research that I've done. I read cookbooks all the time and I start playing around with dishes. I'm like, all right, okay, let's try this. Let's see how it goes. Put our own twist on it. Like that's kind of how I create dishes.
And you broke it down. You break. I guess when obviously if your mom teaches you to dish, but that's just, I think this is interesting for restaurant. Like how do the restaurant and the owners, do they like reverse engineer the recipe?
I'll reverse engineer everything.
And then put it down and then teach your chefs.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now the chefs don't even always have experience in Persian food.
No, like I have no Iranian chefs in my company.
So they have
I have one Iranian chef and one Turkish chef. But at the time, I had nothing.
Nothing. So like, every other ethnicity in the back.
Even right now, it's like most of my, probably 90% of my chefs in the restaurant or cooks in the restaurant are non-Iranian, non-Middle Eastern.
So they're learning this for the first time.
So I have to learn them from scratch, right? And with me, like creating the menu, it was like everything was back engineered.
Gotcha.
Like I'm looking at pictures of food, I see something I like, I'm like, what could this be? How could I create it? And I back engineered. Or I'm traveling to different restaurants all around the country, trying something and try to figure out how to back engineer it and put it on my menu.
Gotcha.
Because nothing under the sun is original. It's like everybody gets ideas from everybody else. It's like there's no such thing as original things. Like even the most amazing chefs, they don't come up with new recipes. All twist on different original
original
recipes a lot of
recipes.
times, right? So that was basically my thing. I was like constantly reading. Then a lot of my NEIs are also things that gives me some sort of memory, right? Like I would sit down and think, okay, what was this thing that my grandma used to make in summer times when we go back home? Like nostalgic. That nostalgic feeling was what I was creating a lot of things with. And I was like, okay, but my grandma used to make this. Let's figure out how to make something out of that to give people a different level of experience.
Okay.
Right?
So it sounds like experience, like
it's all about
everything.
experience, yeah.
So do you feel like, obviously it sounds like that was the driving force of DELBAR, was to create a different experience that didn't exist. Yeah. But what makes you so confident that the people would respond to the experience you were trying to provide to them in the way that you wanted them to?
Very good question.
Be the $1 million question.
That's the $1 million question, right? Like you remember, we're creating something new, so you, as long as you believe in it,
that's all you.
It'll work.
Yeah,
it will work. You just got to put in the effort.
Gotcha.
You just got to put in the effort. You got to keep R&D and you got to keep observing it and keep questioning and saying, how's it working, right? Like even now, when I go to a restaurant, my menu items work. A lot of them are the same. But I'm still ordering it every day. I'm still tasting it every day. I'm still seeing it on guest perspective. I order it for random tables in a restaurant just to see how it comes out, right? Without anybody knowing it's for me.
Gotcha.
That's the biggest thing. Seeing how things operate when you're not there.
Gotcha. You're your own food critic at your own restaurant.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's kind of how we always built it.
Gotcha.
Like we built it around the experience, the full experience. When it's cocktail menu, like my beverage director.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get into cocktails.
Yeah.
So are there native cocktails to Iran?
No. So Iran is a dry country.
Sheesh.
Yeah. So back in the day,
so when you were partying, what were y'all? I'm thinking you're getting drunk.
So you are, but it's illegal.
Okay, heard. You don't have to put
under a table.
All right,
like
heard.
everybody has a bar at their house.
Gotcha.
Like everybody parties and drinks, but it's illegal to party and drink.
Gotcha.
Right. So when it came time, I was like, I texted my Francis Collegato, who's my beverage director now.
Yeah.
At the time, he was working for Castellucci's at Cooks and Soldier.
Yeah.
I was like, Francis, you remember how we were supposed to open a restaurant? Well, it's going to happen. We're going to open next month. I was like, can you come up with a cocktail menu?
He was lying. He was like, you're lying. Get off the phone.
He was very hesitant. Right? This is during pandemic. He was like, I have a student gig over there.
Right now,
I want to go somewhere else? It's like, I couldn't, I had to convince him. So this is how I convinced him. He didn't, at the time, he thought he was coming on as a bartender, right?
Yeah.
So I made him business cards first before I hired him.
So he knew it was legit.
I made his business cards, put on their beverage director with his cell phone number, his name. I snapped a picture of it, send it to him. I'm like, you're coming on board.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
I'm locking in. Where you at?
That's it. Then I started I didn't have any servers, so I started calling all my friends that didn't work at Roomies anymore, or anybody I've crossed paths with before as it was a good server or bartender or line cook.
All the restaurants stopped.
Yeah, everybody stopped. So I call up everybody that I knew.
Gotcha.
I'm like, hey, I'm going to open a restaurant. So I get a team of 5 together for front of house.
That were just lingering
servers.
because of the pandemic.
Yeah, because I remember we opened May 5th for takeout, and that was like
was allowed.
That was almost like a 5-man show. It was me.
Couple cooks.
I was in the kitchen and at the door taking orders. My cousin and my sister were at the front desk taking orders when I wasn't at the front desk. I was either in the kitchen cooking or prepping in the back, right? This was when nobody would come inside the restaurant. We had a little host stand outside the restaurant.
Gotcha. You meet them at the door.
Where the patio is. Yeah, they come over there, they order, we give them food, and they go.
So you never physically had anybody walk into DELBAR at this point? Gotcha.
No.
So the food... This was your first break into the market.
This was my first break in my market. I made a very, very cheap menu, basically very economical menu to make sure I can get my foot in the door because it is pandemic, right? Thankfully, I opened in Inman Park, and Inman Park is very neighborhood oriented.
They support
neighborhood. They support. They support. Like. Their support was what made us stay open.
That's why you said if you weren't at the location,
I wouldn't make it. There's no fucking way. Yeah, because that was one of the most foot traffic, one of the spaces that gets the most amount of foot traffic. But even in Inman Park, the amount of foot traffic you get right now, during pandemic, Saturday and Sundays, you wouldn't see anybody. There's nobody around.
They're just in their house. Yeah, they listen to the rules.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah, in that area, they listen to the rules.
Like,
there was nothing going on.
Gotcha.
So May 5th, we opened for takeout. this is the time that like May 5th to July 4th when we opened the dining room. We opened the dining room on July 4th. To that time was when we are R&Ding the actual menu, right? We're doing takeout, but we're also R&Ding, trying to figure out the real menu,
R&D
working with
means
everything. Research and development.
Okay.
Keep trying different menu items to see what it works,
Gotcha.
what works, what doesn't work. Reading like cookbooks for living. It was like literally reading cookbooks 24/7. Dealing with construction. The inside of the restaurant wasn't still done.
Okay.
Like we were still doing construction inside.
Gotcha. Did it look similar? Or nothing like
the
it?
layout, yeah. The layout is
The
similar.
layout.
I'll change everything like cosmetic wise. I'll change everything.
Got you. So the bar was where the bar is.
Bars,
the kitchen was
yeah.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
The stairs,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Okay.
All that was there. The glass room that you see, like little sunroom that we have, that thing didn't
On the
exist.
outside.
There was no patio there. It was like fully blank. So
Gotcha.
we built that during the pandemic.
And then the seating in the front, was that always a thing?
No, they had no tables outside.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, the restaurant looked very different. Like if you look up, what was the name of it? God. But I'll send you the name of it. You can look it up and you can see inside of it.
Because I
have
think I
all the
remember.
pictures and stuff
I
of it,
remember
too.
before you guys opened. I was hanging with Roy a lot at the time, and Mitch, who is a part owner at MCK.
Yeah.
And we're always with Roy this whole time. So we're at Kale Me Craze and all that. And I remember when they said something like, "Oh, DELBAR's opening," and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" Because there's 5,000 restaurants, Beetle Cat, MF Sushi, the guy that owns the Korean barbecue spot.
Soda Char, Richard Tang.
I mean, it's just like, Camo, come on, man.
And at the time, like the location we were at, it wasn't really popping location.
Because
Like,
it was right around that corner where you kind of drive by it, and then
Exactly.
you start looking.
Yeah, you
So
never
you never
really
pull
look at
that hard
spot.
right
Yeah.
there. So, okay, so you get in there. Seems like a somewhat of a soft launch because
Yeah.
of the circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, is the pandemic not a blessing in a sense? The
In
way
a
it's
sense,
set
it
up,
was.
the it's almost like you were allowed to practice without being judged immediately by the game.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, because now you can get your food out there at obviously a compromised menu, but you get your food out there. The people are just thankful you're around.
Yeah.
They're gonna give you 5-star regardless. I would think, like, they're just gonna encourage it. You got a small amount of overhead when it comes to employees. Like, you're able to do it with the 5 people you were able to build, and so you just kind of like get to take one step. Now, from the business side, how's the lease? Like, are the property people like, we want our money, or
No,
are
they were helping us. Yeah,
Okay.
they were helping us, giving us some half rents, like
Okay.
some way to rent on lease.
So they work
Added to the back
at
end.
the back
of the
end.
lease.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, that helped out a lot. But yeah, pandemic helped me great
Gotcha.
because I had no idea what I was doing.
Because it would have required you to
This was
hit
the time that I
ground.
figured out. Okay, what were we doing?
Perfect time.
Right? I was like, what are we doing? Like,
Right. So because immediately you would have had everything been what it should have been. Day one, you had to be on your shit.
Yeah, you had to be on a shit. It would also require a lot more capital.
Yeah.
If you had to open at full blast at
Oh,
the
full
beginning.
blast.
This allowed me to open slowly
In
and-
phases.
and I was able to actually open it because I didn't have enough capital to open like full blast, right?
Golly.
This allowed me kind of make a little bit of money and keep building into the business, keep remodeling it, keep getting
Gotcha.
there, right?
Gotcha.
Like that's kind of what helped us greatly, and also figure out the menu, R&D it, no chefs, no cooks, and like what are we doing?
Gotcha.
Like what is DELBAR gonna be, and all that stuff, right?
Heard.
We built a lot of things to make us different, like even from the name, like
What does DELBAR mean?
so DELBAR means heart captured.
Heart?
The exact definition is heart captured.
Okay, heart capture.
So
Got it.
in Farsi, DELBAR, you refer to DELBAR as your lover.
Okay.
It's something that you really like, person you really like, you call him DELBAR.
Gotcha.
Technically, you call him DELBAR. The actual word is DELBAR.
Okay. Just
And
these
in-
Americans don't want to say
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In American, no, but we put it that way because we work that way, right?
Okay.
Before figuring out the name, I wrote the name on a piece of paper. This was when I was still a server at Rumi's or
Okay.
manager at Rumi's, sorry. I was writing a name on a piece of paper and going around to all my non-Persian friends and asking them to read it to me. I was like, hey, read this word to me.
What would they say?
DELBAR.
DELBAR.
Everybody would say DELBAR.
Flat. Gotcha.
DELBAR. There was no question. They didn't have to
never gave the-
look at it twice, look at it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like instantly it was DELBAR. I'm like, okay, this is gonna work.
It's gonna fly. It's
Because
easy.
my Persian know is DELBAR.
They get it.
They get it. My Indian client can get it because they have DELBAR. Same thing.
Gotcha.
Means the same thing in Farsi.
Same thing in Farsi.
Yeah.
I got you.
My all Americans or like non-Persian friends
DELBAR.
can read it DELBAR.
Easy.
They already know there's a bar there.
Yeah.
DELBAR.
Shout
It
out
works.
DELBAR. Yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
Like, it works. They already know we serve drinks.
Okay.
It's DELBAR. Then that kind of worked. And it worked
Gotcha.
perfectly.
Gotcha.
And it gave me the meaning that I wanted because I wanted to create everything after my grandma. Like I even designed the restaurant to feel like the countryside of Iran where I spend my summer times growing up. So a lot of that like new natural tones, clay looking walls, like that kind of an old school design.
Gotcha. So when we walk into your restaurant, that's a snapshot of what the restaurants look like in Iran?
Not necessarily the restaurant looks like Iran. This looks like a snapshot of the villages that I grew up in.
The villages,
Yeah,
gotcha.
where like my grandma's villages, basically, like that dirty, not dirty, but
But I get it, like the
dirt tones, basically.
Yeah, very mild tones,
Yeah.
not super bright.
Yeah, not super
solid.
bright. You got the like the
Clay
little oil
colors.
lamps. You got
Yeah.
those old fabrics that are used for cushions and pillows, that kind of stuff.
Wood.
A lot of that natural wood
wood.
finish. Yeah, all that reminded me of like countrysides of Iran. So that's what we wanted to make it feel right. Right. Then the cooking, a lot of the cooking was focused on that part where my grandma was from, south of Iran and north of Iran.
Okay, and that's
And
the
rest,
look of it.
and everything else was like Turkish because I spent a lot of years in Turkish. I got to love Turkish food and brought in a little bit of Turkish food, Lebanese food. I love Lebanese food, so I brought a little bit of Lebanese food into the menu, and then that's what created DELBAR to be like as more of a Middle Eastern package than a Persian.
Oh, okay. Now, do you feel as if the vision that you had, is that it? Like everything?
I think that was it.
That was
I think
it.
we did a great job representing the vision.
Gotcha.
Our whole goal was to make people feel like they not in Atlanta at the moment, right?
Gotcha.
From the design to perspective to staff's uniform to music to cocktails, everything was to make you feel like you're being transported,
Right.
like kind of a running a slightly clubbish kind of restaurant with loud music, good vibe. Like it was all to make you feel like you're being transported. You're going to like LA or you're going to Miami or you're going to Ibiza or whatever it is, right? You're going somewhere else, so you're not in Atlanta.
What do you think makes people that are not from and are not native to your country love it so much? Like I walk into DELBAR and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? This shit is crazy. I don't understand how you are able to have such an impact on me, who I've never even left the country. But you give me a taste, a feel, and a look of what you grew up with, and I think it's the most amazing thing in the world. How are you, like, what is it do you think that people come into DELBAR, like Goldstein? What makes you think why Goldstein ain't gonna never stop coming? I went to high school there, so
Honestly,
good
like
there.
to me, the whole package comes down to energy.
Okay.
The energy that you get.
So staff,
yeah,
all the way down.
all the way down from the staff, from the food, from the drinks, from the ambiance. All that creates the experience, and the experience creates the energy.
Okay.
Right? To
Gotcha.
me, it's all about the energy.
The energy.
I want to walk into a place that makes me feel uplifted. Like,
Gotcha.
I'm automatically like in better energy.
Yeah.
Like I have a good times.
Gotcha.
Good memories, good experiences. I think that's part of the whole thing. It's like the whole package needs to be right on.
Gotcha. Why do you think restaurants don't make it? Is it that? A lack of the energy?
One part is lack of energy, but it requires a lot of attention to details.
Those
and
variables that you're talking
a lot of hours and working and fine tuning everything and watching everything. Because the moment you let it go, for
It's liable to crash.
3 months, it could operate without anybody knowing, but after that, cracks will start building. Like in restaurant, I always compare like there's domino effect associated with everything.
Got you. Even
If
to the
one of
people
my
you
chefs
hire.
come in, even one of my chefs come in and they're not in a good mood today, it's
It
going to
will
affect
F up.
everything. It's going to
The
affect everyone
servers,
around them. It's going to affect the food.
yeah.
It's going to affect the service. And at the end, it's going to affect the bottom line, which is
bottom
the
line.
guest walking into the restaurant. Right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about that guest experience. And one little thing can affect everything. And that's the biggest part of it. It's like understanding that it's not just about food. It's not just about service. It's not just about ambiance. Yes, those are main factors.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it all translates to the experience the guest gets, and most of that comes from the energy of the restaurant.
So how are you able to keep the energy, A, positive, B, like I remember being a server, not everybody wants to serve.
Correct.
Like it's not something they may love to be doing at the time that they're doing it. Typically, when I was in the service industry, it's usually in a transition.
Yeah.
Like either you're going this direction or you're going to this direction, and this is what you're doing in the meantime. So how do you think you're able to truly have them understand what the X factor is about DELBAR and make them understand this is a non-negotiable, but still it be positive where they don't feel like, you mentioned earlier where like some owners are just all over their employees and staff, and it kind of builds like a bad energy. Like, how are you able to keep everybody so positive to the point that you're scaling now? Now it's multiple restaurants. Yeah. So how do you even blanket this mentality across the board? How are you hiring them? What are you looking for in them that makes them, that they're a good fit? How are you attracting them? Yeah, tell me about that.
So like hiring part is a big part of it, right? I'm a true believer of I hired a good energy. Like this is what I teach my managers and my chefs. I was like, I don't care if chef has no experience cooking our food. I don't care if they've never worked in great restaurants. The main thing I look for in the chefs, understanding systems.
Okay.
And being a good person.
Gotcha.
Like if I sit down with you on an interview, if I have no problem going and getting a drink with you later or having lunch with you, then I'm most likely going to look at you as a proper candidate.
Gotcha.
Right? When it comes to server employees, I don't look for experience. I look for personality.
Okay.
Do you enjoy being next to this person? Do you enjoy talking to this person? Do you think your guest's going to enjoy talking to this person? Because if I don't enjoy talking to you, if I don't enjoy having a conversation with you, my guest's not going to enjoy it. You're going to bleed into their experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Your personality will bleed into experience. It doesn't matter how much you hide it, right? But your true personality will come out.
At some point.
And it'll come out at the worst possible time.
Right. When fires start coming up, that's when you lose your stuff.
Correct. So I'm a true believer you hire personalities.
Okay.
Right?
Now, do you do all the hiring yourself or you have a team?
No, I have a team that does hiring, but they all understand
They get it. Gotcha.
They all get it.
He doesn't play about that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, we hire energy, we teach them everything else. We hire the personality, we teach them everything else, right? We can teach them how to sell food, what to understand food, because they're going to taste my whole menu before going on floor. They're going to train in every possible position, right? At the end of the day, is like, how do they react around the team makers? Now, the other thing is like we observe them during the first 90 days of the employment. We observe them to see how they work with everybody else.
So you're not even you're not even locked in yet.
You're not even locked in yet.
90 days is
correct. 90 days, we're looking at you
Trial
every
mode.
direction. We're watching you to see how you react with your teammates.
Punctuality.
Right? Punctuality, all those things. But the biggest thing is like how you react with the team. Are you a team player?
Gotcha.
Do you understand this is a team of sport? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to come to DELBAR and tell me, hey, my server Jason or whoever was wrong. Like, my experience was terrible because Jason was
not
terrible.
Not going to happen.
No.
You already know
it's a whole package.
Bull crap. Yeah.
It's a whole package.
Gotcha.
Right? It's from the moment you walk in, step foot in the restaurant, or from the moment you interact with our page or Google, whether it's Resi, whether it's an Instagram page, or seeing the stories.
It's always going to be
or calling them for a phone, right? Like, all those things define your experience before you even walk in, right? Like what you heard about us, right? Did you hear it was a good place or bad place or whatever it is? All those little things is what you have to go after. And that's the biggest part of it. Like, one big part of it comes from appreciating everybody, understanding you have to appreciate your team. Like, team that is closest to me, my management team, I have to appreciate them, I have to take care of them, and I expect them to do the same thing for everybody under them.
Gotcha.
Right? Everybody in the department.
Effect.
Yeah, it's the domino effect. Like, as long as we're taking care of them, keeping everybody happy, and that keeps the energy up.
Gotcha.
And making them understand why we do this, right? We don't do it, yes, this is what I tell all my staff. It's like, yeah, this is a stepping stone in your life. It will always be. Serving will always be a stepping stone in your life.
We don't expect
I don't expect you to be here forever.
Yeah.
But I need you to understand this is why you do it. I want you to get the most out of it while you're here.
Right.
Besides making money, right?
Money is
your
one byproduct.
Network is what you get out of it.
That's
the
the key.
people that you take care of, right? Your future job, your future boss could be sitting in your section.
Future wife could be sitting in the section.
Future wife could be sitting in your section.
Don't play with it, fellas.
Right? Like, that's the biggest part. Like, once we get them to understand that, their mentality changes around experience.
Easy process or no?
Pretty hard process.
Very hard.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
it's hard to get into, like, a lot of people's head. Like, they don't get it at the end of the day. Like,
Gotcha. Like, what's the background of the drinks? Like, what would
so
you
drinks are
classify
influenced by Iranian ingredients.
those? Okay.
Yeah, either something that we would drink in Iran, because even though we're a non-alcoholic country, yeah,
Yeah.
but we drink a lot of sharbats, a lot of like refreshments, basically.
Okay,
A lot
gotcha.
of cold refreshments. So every drink has a little bit of Iranian ingredient, Iranian background.
Oh, okay.
Then we name it with something that relates back to the Middle East, like Party in Beirut or Saudi Money or Speak of the Shah, or in some kind of a cliche names that kind of refers back to Iran.
Got you. And then, so you were probably heavily involved in that process because I'm probably assuming that your bartender didn't. How would he know what comes from home?
So Francis worked with me at Rumi's also.
Oh, so
Yeah, before going to work
guys
for
had a good
Caslucci's.
foundation.
Yeah, he worked with me at Rumi's also. And he knew what I was looking for. He knew exactly what I was looking for. What I was mainly involved with was kind of the name of the experience, like name of the drinks.
Gotcha.
Like
That's
they
where
would
you
create
wanna
the
make
drinks, I would make the names
Gotcha.
to make him like kind of go with everything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure it matched and continue that package that you were trying to
Yeah.
deliver. So you've been in business officially since the packaging, the brown paper bags days, but how long thus far?
Around 3.5 years.
3.5 years. As far as steady growth,
Yeah.
pretty steady growth throughout that thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys have? Is this just overall in the restaurant? But do you have like slow months or like slow quarters, heavy quarters?
We do,
is that a
yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
usually like January time is slower for us, kind of slower for everybody. Then June, July are kind of slower too.
Okay, everybody's out of
Summertime,
town,
vacation,
yeah.
all that stuff.
Vacation.
Yeah, we have our ups and downs. Yeah, but we were like when we first opened, July 4th of 2020, we were literally just getting by day by day.
Okay.
We were getting by day by day. It was a tough time.
Gotcha.
Like it was still in the center of pandemic. People are still scared
You're
of
still
coming
outside,
out.
yeah. Still got masks.
Yeah, you still
social
got
distance.
masks and social distancing and everything, and people are still cautious of what they're doing, how much they're spending in and out, and that kind of stuff. And we didn't really get busy until I think it was early 2021. I feel like it was around March of 2021 when one Tuesday night we kind of doubled up our sales from the following week, and me and Francis looked at each other and was like, I think we're gonna make it.
Yo, we popping off.
Yeah, up until then we were like, we might go down. We were literally getting by week by week.
So what is that? Is it just not enough? Is it just marketing?
A lot of it has to be marketing. A lot of it has to do word of mouth. But at the time, we weren't doing any marketing. We just had an Instagram page.
Gotcha, that was it.
We didn't have the finances to do any marketing.
Because marketing ain't cheap.
Yeah, marketing is not cheap.
And you don't always see that return immediately.
Correct,
Sometimes
yeah.
it comes 2 years later.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
never know if it's working or it's not working.
It's just
right?
something they just tell you you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And at the time, we just had an Instagram page and a website. Yeah, it was literally basically just word of mouth. Like people
Gotcha.
coming, experiencing it, and telling other people. And just keep
Posting
coming
it,
back.
all
Yeah.
that stuff, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Partners at this time, when you're making it day to day, they still on your neck, or do they start to say, I don't know, man, he might
So
figure
one
it
of
out.
the younger partner is the one that we bought out.
Okay.
So we bought the younger one out.
He the one that didn't want to be involved anyway.
Yeah, he got scared because pandemic was there and the lawsuits were coming in from Rumi. So he got scared because
Yeah.
this wasn't making money. He wanted something that was just instantly made. First week of me opening for takeout, he was
Yo,
like,
where's my
how
check?"
much money do we make? Like, are we profitable? I'm like, bro, this is a
I
restaurant,
got
bro.
you, got you, got
Chill.
you. Yeah.
It's gonna take a minute.
Right,
It's gonna
right.
be a bumpy ride.
Hold on, tight. Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like but mid 2021 we were starting to do good.
Okay.
Mid 2021 is starting to do good. Name is getting out there. Then we started looking at okay, we're doing this. Let's look at what we're gonna do next.
Mm-hmm.
Then we opened. I think the first thing that we opened after that, like it took almost end of 2022. We opened the BB, the
I was going to
sandwich
ask you
shop
the
in Pond
eatery.
City Market.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And so that's in Ponds, upstairs and downstairs?
downstairs.
Okay, downstairs. We're near Biltong, that side?
On the side of Bilton, but across from how Who's across from us?
I know if you go down, they got like the Cuban, and then they got the seafood
No,
spot.
we're before the Cuban. We're on the other side, though.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we are next to... next to that little
ramen?
King of Papas? You know where King of Papas in that corner? Pizza Jeans
yes.
to our other side, yeah.
Right when you pass the ramen.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
make
exactly.
a right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah.
Now, what are these sandwiches?
So BB is a sandwich shop. It's just a Persian eatery, all classic sandwiches.
Okay. BB Eatery, right?
BB Eatery,
BB
yeah.
Eatery, downstairs by the King of Pops. Y'all go check that out.
Yeah. So you get sandwiches there. You get like a kebab and rice bowls there. So it's basically like a fast casual version of DELBAR.
Gotcha. How's that doing?
Doing good.
It's
Yeah,
catching
doing
fire.
good.
Word
Yeah.
of mouth again, or are you guys using promotion?
Word of mouth again.
Okay.
Word of mouth again.
So
and
you
foot
just
traffic
you're
again.
like, I don't need this promotion thing.
Yeah, word of mouth and foot traffic again. This is
Gotcha.
before I got into doing more marketing.
You're just in such hot areas.
Yeah.
It's almost
Yeah.
like you could
Good foot
sneeze
traffic,
and get
yeah.
foot traffic. In
Correct.
like this.
Yeah.
Now, but
People
it's always
spread the word.
about the return, right? Is that the key in
Correct.
restaurants?
Yes.
It's not like the one and done. It's like
No.
2 times a week type
Yeah,
of thing. Or
correct.
hey,
Yeah.
my friends are in town. All right, come see us. Type
Yeah,
of
you
thing.
want to make sure they're returning, and the other thing you want to make sure is like the word of mouth. Word in the street is good.
It's
right?
got to be good.
Yeah, you need to keep that good word in the street.
Gotcha. At DELBAR, what is your, if you're allowed to say, what is your favorite dish, hands down? What would you recommend the viewers to go to?
My
definitely
favorite
get?
dish is probably our chenja kebab, which is like a prime sirloin kebab.
Okay, got you.
That's definitely my favorite dish with aras polo rice, like
With the
lentil
rice.
raisin rice.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, take me through this Michelin Star. Michelin just coming in town. I heard they were coming in town. I'm not even in the
Yeah.
industry. I'm like a random trainer off Faulkner Road. So for me to hear that we heard Michelin is coming and it made it to me, is everybody like packaging their shit and cleaning up and just tighten stuff up? Like, hey, they're coming this year? Like, just be on, like, what is the process? How do you hear about it? What should you be scared of if it doesn't go pleasant? And then how's the invite? And then all the way up to where you guys received?
Honestly, so Michelin announced they're coming to Atlanta, right?
Is this like a public radio announcement?
Public announcement,
Okay.
yeah. AJC posting, Eater posting,
Oh, shit.
they're coming out posting, and it's a big deal. Like it's like Oscar for restaurateurs and
Absolutely.
chefs, right? And you have some restaurateurs that have been around for decades, and like they know what they're doing. They already have the name. You know they're gonna be looking at them, right?
They go
And you
to
have some
all
people-
restaurants?
No, I think
Okay.
they pick. I don't know how they
Yeah, I was
get the
gonna say, like,
original
how do they go-
selection.
even
I
go
have
to
no
your spot?
idea. But I feel like they probably do research, like reading a lot, seeing what favorite
See
restaurants.
what's
and all that
popping
kind of
up.
stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and we're one of a newbie, so we automatically think it was like it's nothing gonna happen. It's like,
Right. I
doesn't
would
matter.
think that too.
Yeah, at the time I'm opening Alfredo location, so I'm not even there as much as I used to be because I'm trying to focus on the other one. And I build the Alfredo location the kind of same way, no GC, no architect, all that to figure everything out. We know Michelin's coming, but we don't know how much we can do differently because we're at max amount of manpower we could do, right? We're doing everything we can. We're opening a whole new restaurant and it's become very expensive. And we have to like put everything back into the game, invest it all back into the
Reinvest,
restaurant.
yeah.
Then all of a sudden, like a couple months later, I get an email from Michelin saying, "Hey, we came and visited your restaurant. We're considering you as one of our favorites. Here's a link. Go online, put some
press.
give us this information,
Okay.
give us these pictures to build your database on our website."
Who's the first person you call?
The first person was actually my fiance sending me that screenshot.
Oh, she got the email.
Yeah, she got the email first because they always send it to the most random emails that you don't check. So it's like it goes to some random email and hopefully you check that.
Hopefully it's not spam and all
yeah.
that
So
other
that's why
stuff.
you saw like during the Michelin ceremony, there's so many restaurants that had no idea they were supposed to be here. Right? And it's like you're announcing
Half
restaurants,
these
but
don't even
nobody's
have
here.
check emails. Like, what would somebody be emailing us for?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And from the moment they send you that original email, it's like you already know they came at least once. They're gonna come 3 times minimum.
And you never know.
You never know who it is. You never know when.
It's like a secret shopper.
It's a secret shopper.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we do a lot of volumes at DELBAR. It's like it's hard to
It's hard to keep
to
it
figure
here.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep it up there all the time. And we're like, okay, time goes by.
Uh-huh.
Then announce, okay, ceremony going to be end of October.
Okay.
They're like, all the chefs already been invited. Everybody knows. We're like, okay, we didn't get anything, so nothing gonna happen.
Because
Cool.
you would have known if you wanted.
Yeah, we would have known. No, they would have still not tell you until the day of the event. Yeah.
So you just know you're invited.
Yeah, you just know you're invited.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
From that initial email.
No, for initial invite, email doesn't even invite you to the event. Like
just
that's
let you know
another
we're-
email.
we're
yeah.
coming up on
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So then, 2 weeks before the event, we get an invite. Hey, you guys are invited to the event. You can bring one person.
So you
Here's a ticket.
and wifey.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So now you know, like, okay, you may get something.
But we passed.
Yeah.
Like we at least passed. Like
Yeah, at
the
least
first
passed.
days.
Yeah, we're like, okay,
Gotcha.
if you know by this point we're gonna be on their website. We don't know anything else. We don't consider ourselves like a Michelin level category,
Yeah.
like to get a star for sure. We're like, maybe a bib gourmand, that would be awesome. But even a mention is huge.
incredible.
Because you're talking about like max 30, 35 restaurants in the whole city. That's a lot. And the people that you're going up to is like, these are all chefs that have been doing this for years and
Studs.
years, and I'm not a chef. Like, I'm not chef by any means. I never went to culinary school.
You
I'm
just
like
put this stuff
I'm a home
together.
cook.
Yeah. Bro, this whole time though, as you explain this, and I'm hearing it, and I know the people are feeling it at home. How on earth are your parents feeling?
Oh, they're loving it. They're loving it.
There's nothing that can make you happier on this planet.
No, bro, my dad back home, like, he literally wears DELBAR swags all the time. He has my business card in his pocket all the time. Just pass it to people.
He's so effing happy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Holy and that just makes it where the starting as a busboy,
Yeah.
the 7 years at Roomies, and I got to get your guy in here because there's another guy that was at Roomies too, wasn't it? Yaldi.
Yalda. Yeah, that's my best friend, Ashkan.
Oh, that's the best friend you were talking about?
No, this is one of my
One
best
of them,
friends.
got
There's
you.
another one.
I got
we
you.
lived in, we both of us in Turkey at the same time, came to US at the same time.
What? You got how? That's just how on earth? Same. Y'all knew each other growing up?
We didn't know each other growing
each
up,
other.
but like the city that we were staying in, it was for like Iranian refugees in Turkey. It was Kayseri, in the center of Turkey. It was a lot of just like young people that were just
running
there
around having fun.
waiting to
Yeah,
get their visas to go to their final destination, whether it was like Europe, Australia, Canada,
And he
US.
picked Atlanta?
And he picked Atlanta, and the funny part is until like the last we were there for a whole year. Until the last 2 or 3 months, none of us had any idea we were all going to the same location.
Wow. Now, is
Yeah.
this like a big bus that's just like, all right, guys, you're out of here? Like, how do you just leave your country? With like a book bag?
Yeah, literally. With
And
a
your
book
mom
bag.
kisses you on your forehead and said, I'll see you when I see you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're
We
how
leave,
old?
17.
Bro, but you're coming to family.
I'm coming to family. Yeah, I had family here.
Or
Yeah.
auntie.
Yeah, I had family here.
Gotcha.
I was never growing up with them, but I had family here. I had
Gotcha.
a lot of family here. Yeah.
That's the key.
That's the key. Yeah, yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So without that though, who cracked the seal? Like who set the tone first in the States for your
For my family,
Family.
my uncle. My
Uncle.
uncle moved down here when he was 17.
gotcha? And he was just
But he was one
came
of
to
the
no family.
Yeah, he came no family. This was like 40, 45 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, this was like when there was very little minority in the U.S. Like we're
In
talking about 40
general,
years ago.
gotcha.
Yeah, in general, there was like nobody.
What was the first thing he did? Like where'd he go work? Or he went to school?
He went to school. He was working all the time. He got involved with having a kid and family very quick.
Okay.
His wife at the time left him, so he had to raise a kid while working
kept the
24/7.
kid.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he went through a much harder time than any of us did, and he planted the seed for all of us, basically.
God, such a care. What is the word? Careless? Like just not concerned about him.
Yeah.
Just was more concerned about I've got to just be the roots and the anchor,
Yeah.
and let's get this pipeline going because we know kids are gonna have kids, and we got to establish some identity and some roots here. What is it about? Do you think that's a? Do you think? But obviously, this story stays consistent with people that this is not their first. This is not originally their country.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these stories come from like why are you so motivated to be successful?
You kind of have to. Like you feel
no
like you
choice.
came way too far out to not be successful.
To not
right?
be successful.
I've gone through so much to not be successful. I mean, what's the opposite? Like I don't like being mediocre.
Right.
I don't like
Because you could have just went to Georgia Tech and had a
it's not my
solid
thing. Like
thing.
you would see me. The most things I hate doing is sitting behind my laptop.
That's not your vibe.
Like that's not my vibe. I like to be moving. I like to have chaos. I like
Create.
to be all over the place all the time. Like I never like to not be working. I took a trip 2 weeks to Italy about 2-3 months ago.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
After the first week, me and my fiance both are like, we're bored. Let's go back home.
Let's go back to the
I was
mess.
like, I can't do this.
Let's go back to
like,
the
I'm not
chaos.
used to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different story. It's like it's a different breed. Like you try for that success. Like the success is like all you know.
Yeah.
All you want, basically.
So you always, I mean, this. If you didn't, obviously you didn't have the crystal ball, but you just knew you were gonna make it. Or is there any point where you really sat on the edge of the bed and said, "Bro, I might be a little bit, I might be wilding out. I might be turned
like
down."
during the opening part of DELBAR, like during the pandemic, yeah.
You were considering like shutting.
I was
this
like,
shit
yeah,
down.
I don't know what's gonna happen. No, I'd never consider shutting it down.
Never. So you were never gonna stop.
You're like, yeah. It's one of those scenarios you're like, I'm in it. I'm going to do everything I can to succeed.
Period.
There is no failure. Failure doesn't exist.
So you were gonna make it work.
Yeah.
no
We're
matter
going to
what.
make this work.
Okay.
We're not failing. Doesn't matter what it takes.
See, that mentality is the key.
Yeah. You have to have that
There's no
mentality.
way
When
you
you're-
can't
yeah.
have that.
Yeah, when you're your own person, you're your own business. I mean, you're the only person you can trust. You're the only person. You're it. Everything
it.
starts with you and ends with you.
And there's no reason, to be honest, and I think this is a good tip of advice for people, but there's really no reason it shouldn't work. It may be
Correct.
hard to get it to work.
Correct.
But you're not doing anything that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
So if you're just opening a restaurant, if we just keep it as simple as that, why the hell shouldn't your restaurant
Yeah, even
work?
if you run it the simplest way possible, it still should work as long as you give a proper
it should
product.
still work. Yeah, like
should still
at
work.
least work.
Yeah.
Now
Now it might
be
take longer.
Michelin,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other stuff. We can't necessarily say that, but if
Yeah.
you're creating something that exists already, just the bare bones of it, it should work. And if it's not working, you just got to make some tweaks and
Correct.
figure out what makes
Yeah.
it, what's going to make it
It's,
work.
it's the thing that, like, I'm one of those people that like to set the goal. I think a lot of people like to set the goal and just go after it, regardless of what it takes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, when I set the goal, it's never a comfortable goal.
Yeah.
It's always a very strong goal because you just want to shoot. You want to shoot for the moon, right? And see where you end up.
Where you land.
Yeah, see where you land. It's like one of those things like you have to put everything you have into it.
You have to.
24/7.
Now, do you think you will ever take the foot off the gas? I mean, you're young though. How old are you?
No, I don't think I would.
Yeah.
35.
Oh, you
Yeah.
chilling.
No,
You got
I
like
don't
20
think so.
years.
That's what keeps me going though. It's like it's different. Like it gives you this.
This your shit.
Yeah, this is like it's like what keeps my blood pumping is this.
Yeah, this is it.
Taking my
Gotcha.
foot off the gas is like killing the life in me. It doesn't work.
Right, it doesn't work.
It's just never gonna work.
Now, how does wifey deal with the 17-hour days and the stress?
She's in the business too.
In the same one?
Yeah,
Oh, it's the best thing ever.
yeah. She's
Was-
in the business too.
Did she join? Did you meet her through it?
So I met her at Roomies.
Roomies.
Yeah.
That roomies, boy. Really set it up, set the tone. But like you said, it's the relationships.
Yeah,
And we said
the
that you
relationship.
never know if you're gonna meet your wife.
Yeah, you never know.
when you're at the
But
thing.
in the industry, I feel like a lot of people just happen to meet their significant other at work.
just makes
because
sense
we
also.
spend so much time at work.
Yeah, it makes
and our
sense.
work is so much around socializing. It's very social oriented.
Gotcha.
It's very people oriented. So you end up meeting your person at work all the time.
She was with you since you cracked DELBAR open, or just midway through? Or?
No, she came. Well, she joined at the beginning.
Okay.
Once I opened DELBAR, again, the lawsuit and all the stuff, they fired her, and then I recruited her.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Do y'all ever just lay in the bed and just look at the ceiling and say, "Holy shit"?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. We're like, shit. Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
That's the
crazy.
words. Can you believe it? So, what's next? If you're allowed to say.
Yeah, what's next? I have 2 more projects coming up.
Okay, 2 more projects in
We
general.
have the
Similar industry?
we're
Gotcha.
working on the Bucket location, DELBAR
Okay.
and Bucket.
Where's that? Is that the one at the yeah?
The one
what
at King and
happened
Duke.
Okay, so you guys canceled the one that was at the bottom of.
Yeah. Airbnb, not Airbnb. What was that?
What was it? Was that an apartment? The Gentry?
It was Gentry. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The one on the bottom of Gentry, we canceled that lease. We cook everything on charcoal, so they couldn't figure out the exhaust system.
Oh, that's good to know
it
because I
wasn't
think a lot of people
compatible.
were wondering that.
Yeah, it wasn't compatible with the building, so
Gotcha.
we were able to cancel the lease.
Nice.
And at the time, again, connections. King and Duke, there was a whisper around King and Duke not renewing their lease.
And you jumped on it.
And I had some connections, so I literally so before I signed the Gentry place, we were negotiating with the Cousins project, which is where
Cousins is
Chops,
the-
and
yeah,
all
that's
those
that
are.
area.
Yeah, that complex. We're talking to them. Then
Just so sign lease, conversation for what?
no. Before conversation,
Okay, got you.
before conversation, we were talking to both properties.
Got you. Oh, okay, got
Then
you.
we ended up taking Gentry over the other one.
Heard.
Because they were giving us a very sweet deal.
Okay.
Didn't sit well with the other one. They were kind of mad that I took over Gentry instead of them.
Okay.
So coming around the King and Duke factor, they didn't really want to talk to me. So I had to again call up everyone that I know that knew everybody in
Somebody
that
had to pull the
company.
string.
I'm like, I need people to get me into there.
Because it was already set up.
It's already a restaurant. It's an amazing location.
Gentry, you would have had to
location.
you would have had to build.
Yeah, Gentry had to build everything from scratch, and this was just an amazing location. More important, the location. Just
Location
insane.
is key.
It's-
So that's what
it's
recommendation in restaurants.
Yeah, location.
Is location. And then it, like you said, it's very supportive for restaurants.
Correct, yeah.
Valet, the little
Yeah.
swoosh thing, walkability,
Visibility on the street.
Visibility.
You're like a billboard in the middle of Peachtree Road.
St. Regis,
Yeah.
Buckhead Shops.
Yeah, clientele is there.
It's
yeah.
there. Gotcha.
And so I had to pull out our plug to get back on the table with them to negotiate King and Duke.
Gotcha.
And it worked.
Was it easy though?
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
It was not
There
easy.
some pushback.
It was a lot of pushback.
Gotcha.
I had to make a lot of calls.
Gotcha. And then so King of Duke, do you always know what happens, why they don't renew? Or maybe they're just over it?
I think so. King and Duke part of Fort Fry Rocket Farms.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
That's Fort
so they
Fry. I
have
didn't know that.
they have a lot of concepts,
He's
but
got
they're
a million concepts.
yeah. But recently they're putting most of their focus on the Little Ray
Lil Ray,
and
love
the
it.
Super Rica concept.
Super Rica, gotcha.
So they're just kind of letting go of the ones
Little
that
ones,
are
JCT,
not performing as well. Yeah.
all that other stuff. Like a guy like that, like how is that scale possible? Like, granted, I mean you've been in the industry long, but that guy has to have what 10? He had 10 concepts just in Atlanta alone, and he's got concepts in Texas. No,
Houston, Nashville. Yeah.
how can one? How the team got to be crazy.
The team is they're very big, very large.
Got you. And you're a people person,
Yeah.
but you've always been like that.
I've always been like that. Yeah.
Because you were taking the sandwiches to
Yeah.
the workers, you were doing the house parties.
Yeah.
You've always been like that. You've always
Always
been
been,
around
yeah.
people,
Always been
hospitality,
around
take care. So you've really mastered to just being like the likability and likable person in general. Wow. So 2 more projects. We got the one happening over there, taking over King and Duke. Have you guys already started kicking the door
King
down?
and Duke, yeah, we're working on a construction right now. Well,
What's-
we haven't started construction, but we're gonna start working on it soon. We should be opening end of March.
End of March. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
And then the other one, is that another food concept?
Yeah, the other one is another food concept. It's more of a club restaurant.
Okay.
It's called Eden. It's gonna be in the West Midtown.
West Midtown,
Yeah.
like interlock type of vibe.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the bottom of Star Metal's Provision. Sorry,
The new
Star
one.
Metal building. No.
Right by Fight, is that by Fight Club?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what I saw that new.
We're gonna be
one.
on ground floor over there.
Okay. Wow, man, this is I appreciate it, man. This is a lot, but I think what's gonna excite the people about it, especially in Atlanta, is you've made so much noise with the product, and you've made so much noise with the brand, but it's going to be nice to be able to give them a taste of the impact you have just as a person. And I think that's the key. And just hearing the stories, and I think just Atlanta's just full of entrepreneurs and people that just ignored the path of just following school or something that they just don't ultimately feel passionate about. And sometimes it's good to just be able to kind of leave a bit of just to leave a bit of something they can hold on to, grasp onto, and just really see that, bro, like you can turn something like a pandemic into a stepping stone to
exactly.
being exploding. You can turn something like the pandemic into another restaurant that's closing because of it, which gives you the segue to open yours.
Yeah. I think pandemic was actually the best thing happened to us.
It happened to you. The timing just seems impeccable.
The timing was awesome. You were like, it's right when everybody had been locked down for months and everybody would just want something new. They're ready to eat.
Ready to eat.
And everybody else is shutting down.
Yeah.
The downside of it is because we opened during pandemic, we didn't get any of those financial reliefs. Nothing applied to us.
Loans, nothing.
But it worked out. But it worked out in our favor anyways. It gave us a, like you said, a kind of trial run.
Where you didn't have to fully, like, it could be like a soft, partial flagship situation. So 2 more projects. You and the wifey just engaged. Congrats on that. But that's exciting, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate your time. And like I said, guys, please tune. Make sure you follow them on Instagram at DELBAR, DELBAR. It's really DELBAR. DELBAR, but it's DELBAR. And then I'll make sure I include your Instagram on there also. And then we'll get some clips of some of the food. I'll go on there and check it out. And then, until next episode, guys. So, peace.